Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. My name is John Fontain and welcome back to another episode of the Fiqh of Love. Today we're joined today with Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Salah. Assalamu alaikum Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, John.
How's it going?
Wonderful. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
Good to be
How
here.
do you find the series so far?
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us.
Ameen.
I hope it will be beneficial for the viewers, inshallah.
Ameen. We've been covering a lot of ground.
True.
And today I wanted to ask you about, what should one look for in a spouse? What should we look for when we're actually searching to get married? What type of qualities should one look for?
Well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyi wa Mustafa wa ba'd. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam addressed both the man who's looking forward to get married, what kind of qualifications he should look for in a woman that he is interested in marrying, and as well as the recommendation for the girl and the guardian to look for certain qualities in the man who's either proposing, or even sometimes if you see somebody who is really good and maybe he doesn't know that you have a daughter, or he doesn't know that you have a sister who, at a marriageable age, so he doesn't come forward. Or perhaps he thinks because you guys are too rich for him, he's hesitant to even think about it. So you as a father, you as a guardian, may take the initiative, and that is perfectly fine in Islam, to actually propose to a man, but through the guardian, not by yourself. And there is a wisdom behind that. So in the seerah, we have some incidents, such as in the first generation, when Hafsa radiyallahu anha was single after losing her husband, and Umar ibn Khattab went to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and he proposed to him. He said, "Would you marry my daughter?" I mean, nowadays it would be like a big shame, but that is perfectly okay. Why? Because look who's the groom,
Yeah.
and he even proposed to Uthman ibn Affan, because Uthman ibn Affan had just lost his wife, but he said he's not interested. And the Prophet ﷺ was the one who proposed to Hafsa, and he married her. So we also spoke about Sa'id ibn Musayyib proposing his daughter to one of his students, not because she is she passed the marriageable age, or because no one is proposing to her. No, she actually received wonderful proposals by the means of the dunya, but he was not interested. He was looking for a particular person. So who is this particular person whom you would not hesitate or think twice to approach, whether directly or indirectly? Again, for a girl, I never advise that you say or you tell a man that I'm interested in marrying you. We're not in the generation of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nowadays, many people may take advantage of that. So in the future, if they differ, they say, I was never looking forward to marry you. It was you. You begged me to marry you. There comes the role of the guardian, the wali. As you know, in the hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La nikaha illa bi waliyin wa shahiday adl." There is no valid marriage without the consent of the guardian. He's the one who's supposed to give his daughter or his sister or whomever among the girls under his guardianship in marriage. She cannot just marry herself off. She needs a guardian. Why? Because he's going to play that role in addition to the witnesses, according to the hadith. So the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, considered a marriage which is processed or conducted without the knowledge and the consent of the guardian as nullified, as it did not happen. La nikaha. Okay? And by the way, this is the opinion of the vast majority of the Muslim scholars. Imam Ahmad, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i. While Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, said a grown-up woman can give herself in marriage without the consent of her guardian because she's wise enough. This is a logical reference, okay? But meanwhile, on the other hand, he's very strict with regards to something called al-kafa'a, or the qualifications, which you are asking about in this episode. What is al-kafa'a? Who is fit to marry this girl? Who is qualified? This is something different than chemistry, because you may have chemistry with somebody, but unfortunately this person or this woman is married, so the door is closed. Or with a person who is not Muslim, then the door is closed. You don't talk about chemistry. We're talking about al-kafa'a, the qualifications. So Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, is very strict when it comes to the kafa'a and the qualifications. So if he says, for instance, the financial qualifications required as well. He says, if somebody is interested in marrying a doctor, she is a doctor and he is a janitor, he is not kuf to marry her, according to the Hanafi madhab. So if she did marry herself off without the consent of her guardian, the guardian has the right to nullify this marriage. So it is best to stick to the opinion of the vast majority of the scholars. The guardian's consent is not just because he is the man and he's like a dictator, he dictates to his girl what to do and whom to marry, but no one supposedly cares more about the girl than her guardian. In the case of the daughter, the father. The father is the guardian. No one likes anyone to be better than himself other than the parents. They love their children to be much better than themselves, to have better spouses, better kids, better job, better lifestyle. In most cases, of course, that is the norms. So if the man is receiving several proposals, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in the hadith, which is collected by Imam Tirmidhi, إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه وأمانته فزوجوه. So the two qualifications, like big umbrella, and beneath them there are many other factors: the deen and the amana. The deen, the religious commitment. And how do you know that this person is religiously committed? MashaAllah, you see him praying in the masjid, attending the jama'ah. He's not wearing gold, he's not wearing a necklace, he's not making a hairstyle like those singers. He is not messing around. In Ramadan, you see him always in the masjid for the Fajr prayer, for the Taraweeh, even though it is nafila. Okay, he comes early to attend the Jumu'ah. In the neighborhood, people can tell this guy is mutadayyan. Mutadayyan yani religiously committed, or dayyan, that he loves the deen. إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه. And whom the Prophet ﷺ is addressing? He's addressing those who are already religiously committed, a family of the girl who loves the deen, who practice the deen. But those, before you ask, and they say, but some people don't care about it. Of course, because the vast majority of people are not religious. But the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, is addressing those who are religiously committed. Do not settle for anyone. A person who is religiously committed and with good manners. Somebody says, or may say, but a person who is religiously committed is supposed to have good manners. Yes, supposedly, but not necessarily all the time. Every person who is praying is religious and well-mannered. There are a lot of people who are even very extreme in religion, but their relations with their parents are terrible. With their siblings, they don't talk to them. They're very tough. I wouldn't advise you to marry such person or to give your daughter in marriage to that person. So a combination of how does he deal with Allah in respect to fulfilling the obligations that Allah ordained upon him, and how does he deal with people, the amana. He's honest, he's trustworthy, he is truthful, he's quiet, he is not abusive.
So we have to consult the community, ask about him, speak to his friends, his family.
Why do you think the consent of the guardian is required? It's a must for the validity of the marriage contract. Why?
Sheikh, in this day and age, I know you said that, you know, you wouldn't recommend the sisters to approach a man, of course,
Directly.
basically to initiate.
Directly.
Yeah, but you know, in this day and age, some of the guardians, they're not very proactive in getting their daughters married, and sometimes the daughters, maybe they're reaching 30, 40 years old and they're unmarried, and for some reason the parents just want to keep them at home. You know, they're not really helping them get married.
It's very unfortunate. Yeah, there are a few cases like that. But, you know, here is the importance and the significance of being in a Muslim community, going to the masjid, to the Islamic center, knowing a lot of people, so that they will introduce you to others. You don't have to do it yourself. Never do it directly. But if you have a sister who's already married, you talk to her. You know, I've seen this guy and I like him and so on. So she may talk to her husband to approach him. I've known a family, the girl liked somebody who is a staff somewhere at work. And she liked him so much and she kept an eye on him. So she went to her brother and she shared with him that how much she liked that person. So the brother applied for a job in the same place under that person in order to be friends with him. And then he invited him home and he introduced him to the family. And then when he met with the sister, he liked her. So that is fantastic, great. But for a girl to approach the guy directly, I wouldn't really recommend that.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. So we'll just take the opportunity just to have a short break.
Sure.
So for those at home, make sure you stay with us. We'll be back in a few minutes. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
ويريكم آياته فأي آيات الله تنكرون.
In Quran Circle 5, we will focus on the universal signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as mentioned in the Quran. The universal signs, the favors of Allah, the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth.
والذي يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينشئ السحاب الثقال.
The wisdom behind the mention of many of the universal signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran is to establish the evidence of the Tawheed, the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to fill the hearts with these evidences, with these signs, so the hearts will be full of the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the deeds that fill these hearts with the love of Allah, the hope for the rewards from Allah, the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق.
We know the creation of Allah, the heavens, the earth, what's in between, but there is nothing like the book of Allah, the speech of Allah, to describe to us the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Join us in Quran Circle 5. We listen to the verses of the Quran, we reflect upon the meanings of these verses, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who have the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their hearts as a result of that.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome back to the Fiqh of Love. My name's John Fontain and we're here joined with Dr. Muhammad Salah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Sheikh, we was just discussing, you know, how we was mentioning how the guardian should be proactive as well as family and friends, you know, help the unmarried get married. SubhanAllah, I have a friend of mine. I recently helped him get married, actually. Alhamdulillah. I was in Kuwait, and I was in a lesson, and a man was asking, he basically wanted to get his daughter married. So I knew that I have a friend who's also unmarried, around the same age, and alhamdulillah, I managed to, connect him with the brother, and alhamdulillah, they ended up getting married. Alhamdulillah. So they've been
Beautiful.
married for over 6 months now,
Alhamdulillah,
and
beautiful.
alhamdulillah, it's just nice to see, to have that experience of helping someone.
That is instructed
married.
in the Quran, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. We should cooperate and help one another to
Yeah.
achieve what is good and what is righteous.
Yeah.
And in the Muslim community, the role of the Imam isn't just to lead the prayer
Mm.
and to deliver the speech on Friday and to attend the funeral. That is, these are the basics. But there is a deeper role and very important, not any lesser than leading the prayer and
Yeah.
giving the speech, which is to resolve many problems in the community, to play the role of the family father in case that the family father is inactive
Yeah.
or is not present. So you know that in your class or your wife as an imam knows that this girl, mashallah, is a very good girl. You don't have a boy to marry him off to her, but there is another person in the community or a father who has a good son. So you make the connection, you introduce them to each other. Will you be rewarded for that? Of course. الدل على الخير كفاعله. And similarly, if the girl doesn't have a guardian, or if the guardian is, as you said, inactive or too shy, then talk to the imam.
Yeah.
The imam is supposed to be the secret keeper of the entire community. So you don't go and confess to the imam your faults and your errors, but you consult him with your even personal matters. And he's supposed not to reveal any of that to anyone. So he can perhaps in lecture say in one case, but without pointing fingers or mentioning names. So the imam may introduce the girl to somebody who's a good suitor. When we mentioned previously, John, the Prophet ﷺ spoke about the two main qualities, like the big umbrella, which is deen and the amana, yani the akhlaq and the manners. Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, when somebody was making a recommendation before him and vouching the credibility of one person, he's really good, this brother is super nice, etc., etc., as many of us do sometimes. So he intervened and he said, how do you know that guy whom you're vouching his credibility? Are you guys neighbors? He said, no. He said, oh, perhaps you've done business together. He said, not that either. So did you travel with him for a long journey, go for jihad, or travel, because they travel not in the train, or you travel on the back of a camel, so you encamp somewhere and you stay days and nights, plenty of time to get to know the person from so close. He said, no, not that either. He said, oh, perhaps you've seen him going back and forth to the masjid. He said, yeah, indeed, I saw him. He's a masjid going guy. He's religious. He said, that is not sufficient.
SubhanAllah.
This part is pertaining to his relationship with Allah. We say repeatedly, it's supposed to reflect positively on his dealing with others, with people general, Muslims and non-Muslims. Then more specifically, family members, parents, siblings, and then eventually in the future, wife and the children. But some people with the limited understanding, they take the deen from a very narrow window. It is growing the prayer mark, fasting a lot without realizing the spirit of fasting, many things like that. We don't want this kind of person. We want a person who is moderate in his worship, but he is super nice, or at least nice when it comes to the akhlaq. When you ask about a person and his own parents say, will never recommend him to marry your daughter, that's it, chapter is closed. He is not good to the closest people to him, his parents. Then in this case, what do you expect?
Sheikh, just on this topic, if you do know someone who is struggling, maybe they have sins that you know about, maybe they smoke, maybe they're into the wrong kind of things, and you know that somebody has actually is interested in them for marriage.
Yeah.
What should you do about that? You know, should you actually?
You mean if you're consulted?
Not if you're not consulted.
Yeah.
Should you speak to them, or should you just stay out of it? Only if you're consulted.
Well, it's a good question, and it's a tough question. It depends on my relationship with those people. Like, and it depends on how severe is the involvement of that person in the sins. Like somebody who's alcoholic, but those people do not know. Well, I should come forward.
Yeah.
Okay, this person is known to have illicit relations. Okay, his own family doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
But everybody else knows.
Yeah.
So people from outside came and, he proposed to them, and people, they don't know anything about him. If you have a chance to warn them, because the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, says in the hadith, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you will become a true believer, not until he loves for his brother, for his sisters, whatever he loves for himself. So would you like yourself to fall in such pit? Would you like your daughter to be given in marriage to somebody who seems to be nice, but he's alcoholic, or he's corrupt, or he's in drugs? Of course not. And that's why we return back to the same point, which is, what is the role of the guardian in verifying the amana, the akhlaq, the manners of that person?
You know, Sheikh, a few episodes back we were speaking about divorce. You know, that divorce is actually increasing, not just amongst Muslims, but humans in general.
Worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide. And I feel that, especially amongst the Muslim community, a lot of the divorce is down to the guardian not doing his job properly in the first place.
And also
not
after
actually-
marriage, due to interference
Yes.
in their marriage life, and having a terrible negative influence on
Subhanallah.
either one of the partners.
Yeah.
Down the road, inshallah, in the episodes of discussing the marriage counseling and solving marital problems, that will be discussed in very details. What I wanted to share with you before we run out of time, how Al-Hasan al-Basri. Al-Hasan al-Basri was the great scholar of Iraq. Al-Hasan al-Basri, may Allah be pleased with him, was asked, somebody said that, mashallah, my daughter is very beautiful and a lot of people are proposing to her. So whom shall I give her to in marriage? When we say so, I don't want any of the audience to assume that the daughter is sitting home, doesn't know anything about it, and he chooses and he says, you marry that person. No. It's never like that. It's not like that. Okay? But he's receiving several proposals. So he's filtering them. Then he introduces whomever he assumes, he thinks, or he believes after investigation that this person is a righteous person to his daughter. And her consent, her agreement is a must in the validity of the marriage contract. So now, Al-Hasan al-Basri, may Allah be pleased with him, said, you should give her in marriage to a man who's God-fearing. إن أحبها أكرمها وإن لم يحبها لم يظلمها. As you know that love fluctuates, it goes up and down for whatever reason, for many reasons. So he says he should give her in marriage to somebody who's God-fearing. If he loves her, he would obviously honor her, make her life happy, get her everything she wants. And in case that for any reason he stopped loving her anymore, no emotions, no compassion, they're just married, he's not gonna wrong her. He's not gonna oppress her, because he knows his limitations and he recognizes his duties. Like in worst case scenario, in case of divorce, he's not gonna give her a hard time. You know, before Islam, people would divorce their wives so many times because there was no limitations for the number of times. And every time approaching the iddah, he will take her back, for no reason but to torture her and not to let her marry somebody else. So there are some people like that. Some people, they defer the dowry and they say, I'm broke now, but inshallah, when I have money, I will give you. Now they're well off and they have money, but they never settle that debt. It's a debt. And then if they divorce their wives, they kick them out, and now they're homeless, and they are even deprived from the dowry. They're thieves.
Yeah.
So the quality of amana is really crucial. And how would you verify that? Neighbors. If you're not a neighbor, find out from the neighbors. Make your homework. It's a big amana, and Allah will ask you about the fulfillment
Like
of
you
this
say, Shaykh,
amana.
subhanAllah, you know, if you're going to get into business with somebody, you're going to do your homework. You know,
Imagine.
you're going to be up all night for the next week doing your
Exactly.
research, making sure everything's right before you invest your money, subhanAllah.
If you're buying a flat,
Yeah.
if you're buying a vehicle, you know, you do your homework. You,
Subhanallah.
you read the feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, talking about the feedback and the social media, unfortunately, some people, when it comes to proposals, marriage proposal, they just check out the profile of that person.
Yeah.
Cool, he's nice. Look at his muscles. Look at her, she's pretty.
The self-made profile.
Exactly, the self-made profile.
Yeah.
It could be like, you know, assisting in making a preliminary idea,
Yeah.
but not making the final decision, because it is not necessarily a very accurate idea of whom you're about to join to the rest of your life.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. SubhanAllah, very interesting points, very important points, and hopefully the people at home will be able to get a lot of benefit from that. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Thanks for joining us,
You're most welcome.
and inshallah we'll see you next time. And for those of you at home, please keep tuning in to the Fiqh of Love. Alhamdulillah, we'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.